Hi, everybody. I was setting the lights up. I'm like, oh, that looks a little dark. And I have to practice my live sessions. And it's my birthday month. So I thought that'd be a great opportunity to do that. As well, I have got to get a sunrise sunset card done for a watercolor hop that is on Instagram on, I think it's the 4th this month. And using inspiration from Andrea, who is Happy Crafty Ho Ho, I thought I would do it during a live session. So I am going to use more of a sunrise hues for mine because we live on the north side of a mountain and we typically don't see the sunrises here. We do see the sunsets. They're over on the other side of the valley floor. But for a birthday style card, I thought the sunrise color palette would be a little bit nicer to send out because sunset ones, right? You use them for sympathy quite a bit more. So I've got out my Altenew 36 pan watercolor set and my salt cellar with some water in it. And let's hope that I don't spill that again. And my Altenew brushes. I also have some of the watercolor brush markers out. I've only got the top and the bottom of my watercolor paper taped down right now, and that is painter's tape. Hello, PM Brooks, Eldon Boss. Oh, I see I've got a lot of family in here. Thanks, guys. It's good to support. I'm not doing the sides because we do want to die cut this down. And this is from Canson XL, one of the sheets that comes off, and I chop it into 4. So it ends up being 6 inches long. So I knew that I had extra at the top and the bottom to play with. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to give this a spritz across the background to wet the watercolor paper and give it a chance to absorb in. I know which 2 brushes I'm going to use. So I've got the big, broad, flat brush, and I've got the number 5. I tend to like working with the larger brushes for doing this kind of stuff. We are just doing a wash in the background because sunrises, they don't tend to be as bright with the colors as the sunsets. And the sunsets are insane, but you can't really capture those hues with the watercolors unless you go in really heavy with your intensity. So now that that's had a bit of time to soak, we'll give it a swipe over. And we're going to start out with the lightest colors at the top because sunrises are pinks into light yellows and even lighter yellows at the top. So grab out some of this guy, and we're just going to start working it back and forth across the panel. And remember that with watercolors, that it will look darker as you're putting it down, and then it gets lighter as it dries out. I'm bringing in the next yellow for the next part of the wash. And I'm not too worried about the streaks in it right now. I just want to get the color laid down. I'm going to spritz it a little bit later to get those streaks out of there. Okay, wiping the brush, we're going to switch colors. We're bringing in that really light pink now. Hello, Crafty Tooth Fairy and Isiamara. Hello, sweetie. I'm practicing my lives. I have to do a watercolor card for a hop that's in a couple of days. And I took a page from Andrea, who's Crafty Happy Ho Ho. I'm not certain exactly her handle, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to get in here and do a little bit more and get a little bit more comfortable. And I do have to watch the chat. So you guys are going to have to remind me on that one. And what we're doing is, for those of you that missed the beginning, I've started out with a lighter color of washes at the top, and I'm going to deepen the colors up a bit towards the bottom, but we're not going to go full intensity because it's not a sunset. Sunsets are like crazy. I wish I could duplicate those, but I still have not captured it. And I thought I would do the sunset instead, that it would be a little bit happier of a color scheme. So I'm bringing the pinks in. I'm bringing them down to about a third of the way from the bottom because I did want to split my panel into thirds. So top, middle, bottom. And in the bottom, we are going to do something a little bit different. We're going to ground it with a little bit of a grass meadow. We still need a little bit more pink in there, I'm thinking. And you can see I've got water pooling on the side, so I will just use my paper towel to mop that up. That's coming off the brush as I'm laying down and stroking. That's also because I don't have it taped down on the sides because I did want to use as much of this panel as possible. So this is the part where we're just doing that wash, just trying to deepen that pink up a little bit more towards the bottom. And wash your brush out. Okay, big brush is done. And now I'm grabbing out the watercolor marker and I'm going to do some drag lines with some pink in here to give it a little bit of striations through the sky. Sometimes the skies have got those clouds in, sometimes they don't. What is that? Oh, the sailor warning. Red sky in morning, sailors take warning. Red sky at night, sailors delight. So we've done that, and now I'm going to use my mister, and I'm going to reactivate it, and I'm going to get it to run a little bit. It will also put a pebbly granulated effect on the watercolor and get those colors to blend a little bit better. So we'll just pop that up like that, let everything kind of move towards where the bottom or the top of the card is going to be. Bottom for me looking at it from this angle. And now that that's done, we're going to wet the bottom again. This is where we're going to put that meadow in down at the bottom. And this is the one where I will come in with greens. And I'll just lay that down. The farther away something is from you, the lighter it is. So we will go lighter in the back of this. And I have to kind of figure out in my mind what a rolling hill looks like. Dan! Oh my goodness. Hello, Dan. Dan, this is only my 4th live and I'm practicing. I'm glad to see you in here. Dan was another one that took the Secret Garden retreat with us this year. So nothing special. I'm trying to time it so that I can get a card done within about an hour. And Dan, I have to get a watercolor card done for an Instagram hop that I've got in a couple of days. So as I've said before, I'm taking a page out of Andrea's booklet where she does the cards that she needs to have for the hops. She does them on her lives. And oh my gosh, she has lives like, I think it's every day. She's a crafty, happy ho-ho, I think. So I am putting a little bit of texture in with the bigger brush because you will start seeing that the closer something gets towards you. And we need to add a little bit of the darker green in down towards the bottom. And we're just going to let the watercolors do what they want at this stage in the game and not fuss around with them too much because this is just a wash for the background, right? Okay. Wash the brush out. We're going to get our next brush, that number 5 that I mentioned we would be using. Pop those guys away. That is the number 5. Okay. Now for the grass, I know this is still really wet, but you can, when this dries a little bit more, you can go in and stipple it with your brush on the side so that you've got the tip up and it's going to add in like a grass type texture. Sort of like rolling lawns, rolling hills, right? And that you can see is a little bit too dark just in that spot because remember, we want the lighter colors farther away from us because that's perspective. I'm glad, Dan, I'm glad that you and Ziamara and Kim Brooks and everybody else made it too. We have got a lot of family in here. They're wonderful supporters for me, but our Altanoose's fan group and our Instagram groups, everybody really does tend to support each other. And we're all scheduling it so that we're not interfering with the next person's live. So I'm very aware of, when Jennifer is or when Amy R is, when Kathy goes. I've got a friend, Annette Stevens, and I know what time she goes. And it's like, okay, well, where can I fit mine in that it's not going to bother with anybody else's, right? Just a matter of having courtesy for everybody else. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Okay, now I would like that a little bit drier because what I would do is take a little bit of the darkest green at the end, and I would just use the tip of the brush where it's got that point. And when it's a bit drier, I can go wet on dry and it will give it more demarcation. Right now, it is still going to blend out because that is quite wet. And on your sides, if you don't have them taped down like I don't, make certain that you get your sides off of it, that where it's pooling up. So you can also use your finger to brush back and forth across it. So through the magic of television or YouTube live sessions, we happen to have a card done. So because this is not dry to the stage that we need it to, I did do one ahead of the game. I'm going to set all my paintbrushes aside. So bear with me a moment while I move them over to the other side of the desk. And I also should get that water out of the way so that we don't have any catastrophes happen. I've already spilled it once earlier this afternoon. So I'm just going to put that panel, and I will lean it like this so that what is still wet will blend into the other colors so that it gives it a much smoother watercolor. And we will get out the panel that we've already done. So that's what it's going to end up like when it dries. You can see how it's lightened up quite a bit. And for this, I thought that I would use one of the stencils that I got in one of the other retreats. And I'm certain you guys have all done this too, that you've got things that came with kits or stamps that you wanted and you saw and you got, and then you just haven't used them yet. So this is my first time using this one. And we are going to pull out some of the greens. Let's see how many layers we've got on this. Altenew stencils. They've got the name up. They've got like their name, and then they've got the name of what stencil set it is, and they will have a number on it. So I can see that this has got 6 layers. And that bottom layer, I can see that that's the trunk of it. And these are the leaf parts that are going to be sitting on the branches. So 6 layers, which means I need about 5-ish colors. I'll bring these over to this side. And here's my perfectionism coming into play, everybody, where I am aligning them so that you can see which colors we're using. And okay, brighter tones. Later in through there. No, you want to go in there. All right. So I don't want to cover this entire panel. I do want to have the tree off so that it's only going to take up like 2/3 of it over on this side. And I still want to have it so that some of the weeping willow branches like aren't off of the card. So I think what I'm going to do is, this card does look like it's going to shift around a little bit on here. So on the top side that I know that I am not stenciling, I'm just going to put a little bit of the satin tape up in the top corner just to make certain it really has a good stick. And this is a new sticky mat from my stamp wheel, but I seem to have difficulty with them in not being able to always get things to stick down the way that everybody else does. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is, once I figure out where I want to put this willow tree, maybe I'll just align it right there at the bottom. Find a spot where you like the composition on the card, and you can take some more of your satin masking tape and surround the stencil so that you know where to put the alignment for the next stencils up above. Typically, they will have a spot too that they do use to ground them. I know that like the trunk comes over to this part here. So there, that's going to help me with doing what I need to. Robin, hello. Yes, you do get to see me laugh. Everybody, Robin has got her own YouTube channel as well too. Of course, going by Shanti Art Creations. She uploads a lot. Robin, you do videos quite a bit. They're shorter ones, but they're just really quick and get in and get them done. And I'm not certain if let's see who else. Ziomara, I don't think you've got one yet. Dan, I don't know if you do. If you do, let me know and I'm going to sub to you. And Crafty Tooth Fairy, I am not certain if you do or don't. But again, if you do, let me know and we will share a sub with each other. Okay, so we've got the stencil down, and I was warned about this particular stencil because it's got such fine little filigree parts from where the branches come down, because that's what weeping willows are like, right? They're very feathery, very graceful trees that apparently these tend to bend quite a bit. So I will probably be using one of my nails to hold it down while I go in with some of the base colors. And I want the lightest one in the back. So this is our base layer. So it's going to be the one that's going to be farthest away. So I'm just going to have to hold everything in place. Maybe put that up on my sticky mat so it's not moving around as much. I'll use one of my slightly bigger brushes. I do have these ones as well too, but I find it just easier just to use the smaller mini blending brushes like these guys, and then just a normal size blending brush. So we're just going to lay the ink down. We're not worried about how splotchy it's going to be. We just want to get a layer down. We are going to go in over top of it, and we want this to have an artsy feel to it because it's over top of a watercolored panel, right? And the light is going to be coming through those willow branches and leaves from the sunrise. So this one, I don't know if that one is going to take because it is really fine, but that doesn't matter because you can alter your stencils, your stamps, your dies quite a bit to whatever it is that you want them to do. I do that all the time. As we know, I have done stamp surgery. I have kept stamps apart. Oh, yes. I think Jennifer does that as well, too. I know it really freaks some people out, but if I only want one part of the sentiment that is on a stamp, then that's what I'm going to use. All right, I've got enough of a... I do that, too, with the listening in Crafty Tooth Fairy. Hubs to toddler to Costco, and I'm working on some Christmas cards. Okay, that is very, very ambitious. I really haven't started mine other than one hop that I was in was still with Brennan. So... bravo. Well done. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see what I did? Oh no. Okay. Well, we already had a catastrophe happen. This is Jer. This is Jer. So I know that now I'm going to have to tape off one side of my card because the stencil comes too close to the edge. Oh well. It wouldn't be me if we didn't have some kind of a catastrophe happen, right, everybody? There. So we've got some of the Post-it tape. This is really low tack, so that will help with that, and I will fix that up. We're just trying to get the basic idea of it. I might be able to cover that up with a little bit of strategic splattering and using a watercolor pen to take it off, but then I might ruin the sunrise in the background. Okay, second layer. I'm just double checking. Yes, number 2 is up. And we have taped down the corners, so we know it's going to go in approximately here. Okay, sticker down. And we'll switch to our next color up. Thanks, Robin. Well, for a 4th live, it's not that bad for me. It's like, oh, I should have known better. I should have just remembered that it was really close to that edge. This one, I can see it doesn't have as many fine parts in it, so I'm going to go heavier right away. You could go back in with the same color. If you layer it over top of itself and saturate it, you will get a deeper tone of the same color. So I could have continued to use the aloe vera in the background as well if I did not have as many green inks as we would have liked for this 6-layer stencil. Okay, there's number 2. Just pop it aside. Double check. We've got number 3 here. I'm using them on the reverse because I wanted my tree coming in from the left-hand side. Now, Robin, I know where you are, and I know where the family that is in the chat is, but where is everybody else coming in from? It's just before 5 o'clock here on the Pacific Coast. I didn't want to set it too late for the people that are on the Eastern Coast in Eastern Daylight Time settings. Hello, Annette, everybody. Here's Annette. She is AS Card Design. She's another one of our sweeties. She has lives every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Is that right, Annette? Yes, Columbus, Ohio. And so she does many, many different techniques, and you're working with a lot of the Gina K. And Annette, I've already had one goof up because I forgot to mask off my one side of the stencil. And yeah, I got a big ink line down that side because I wasn't paying attention. But this is only my 4th live, so catastrophes are expected. We're going to go in with the next color, which is the Misty Sage, and it's just a little bit more of a muted, darker green. This one as well, I can see that it's got just a couple of smaller filigree parts up at the top, probably where the branches are going to lay down in at the end. Okay. Pop that off, and you can see it's starting to come together now. So there's number 3. Let's just check number 4. Pop it down into place again where I put those pieces of tape to get a general idea of where my corner is. Tuck that up at the top. We will grab which one we want next. I'm not worried about the blending brush too. The fact that I'm layering colors on it, because we did start out with the lightest one. If we'd started out with the darkest one and we were going to a lighter, then it would be different. I would be having to like clean it off on a paper towel in between each time. But this one, not so much. Okay. And that's how quick that one was, because it really didn't have too much to it. Okay, tuck him aside. We'll take those aside later to the sink and wash them out. Because they just have ink on them right now, I am not worried about them drying, because these inks are water reactive and will wash off quite nicely. I'm just going to tuck our green brush back up the top there in my kit that's on the side. Okay, and the last color, which is the deepest one, which is olive, and go over that. Okay, so there is our weeping willow with the sunrise in the background. And what I am going to do next, let's bring the branches in. Now this one, actually, I need to put that over the top. And it aligned up. I'm going to put them all back together for a moment, because this trunk aligns with one spot that is out of place with how the rest of the stencils have laid out. Quite often the companies will put 2 different parts, so you can see it's got different branches down here. They've got a line there, and this is the part that we want to use. And this is the part where all those fine little leaves are catching with each other. There, okay, now I've got it. And you see this part here? That is where the trunk fits in. So if they were there, that guy's going to go about there. Okay, I can see I just need to shift it up a wee bit there. And there are the parts that we did not color in. So we're going to grab out one of the browns and stencil down the trunk. And get out my brown blending brush. Thanks, Dan. Who else likes that part where it's the stencil reveal? No, I can see that because I'm trying to get it done quickly and a bit nervous. Yeah, I goofed up and I didn't mask this off on the first one. And you can see that it's a good thing that we did do it a little bit later because it's got green on it as well right now from the layers that were on top of that one. I'm using, it's a very maroony reddish brown because we have those pink tones coming in from the sunrise. And I want to have a little bit of that shining on the trunk as well too, because it's going to be bathed in that pinkish sunrise light, right? It's not going to be a really, really dark brown. And I guess there's that little one right there too. I'm glad that these ones aren't moving around too much and that we're not too close to that edge so that I don't have to worry about goofing it up again. Luckily, I have the other panel that's down there drying, so I can do this over again. Yeah, that's exactly what we want for the actual card that's going to be going up for the hop. And we're getting a practice in on doing lives. So it's all good. It's all good. All right, let's tuck these guys aside. And now I'm going to do something really weird. See, everybody that came in later, that's the part where I messed up. Now we could try fixing that with a water brush, but that's going to change. You're going to get streaks in your watercolor. You could try like fixing it with a splatter. You could put a sentiment over top of it. I'm just going to use this for a practice card right now, and I will work it out on the other panel for what we eventually really want for the final card that's going up on YouTube. But what I want to do with this one is I'm going to try and figure out how to mask off a portion of it. I'm just going to use that, and then I'm going to put the stencil back over top on the bottom layer, the base layer, or maybe the second one. Yeah, this one. So I will lay this back over, and of course I've already moved the panel. So good luck fitting this back into place. All right, watch me while I jiggle this around, everybody. Okay, are we getting her? Bingo. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to add some of the solar sprays, and I'm going to add a little bit of paste to it too. The paste is the pink color. So I want it to look like there's a little bit of that sunrise just shining on parts of the leaves. So I'm going to take and put little dabs on my fingers, and I'm going to do it down towards the bottom. So I'm not needing to use one of the spatulas for this because it's just a little bit that I'm putting down there. And everybody that knows me knows I like my shiny, shiny bling bling, right? So this is how I'm going to get it. I could use a spatula too, but I just wanted this to be really light. So, and I'm doing it down towards the bottom ones because those are the ones that the light is going to come through the most, because it's the part where there are the least amount of branches to go through because they're so much more spread out than what's happening up at the top. I could have used the green as well on this, but I just thought it would be kind of neat to bring in a little bit of the pinks. And there we go. Now this stencil, I am definitely going to have to get into the water. And I know I just shifted it, but that is okay. Now, the other thing that we're going to do once we get this capped again, press and seal, great for keeping your paste ready. I've had these ones for about 2, maybe 3 years now, and they haven't dried out. The glitter ones seem the worst. Those ones go really quickly, but as long as you get press and seal on, and you can actually press that down into it too, and that will help to keep things from drying out because it takes the air away. I'm going to get my solar spray out. Now, I've had them laying on the side like this after shaking them up, and you always do want to shake them You want to turn them over so that you see that there's nothing stuck on the bottom, because the mica and the other shines that they got in there, if they're stuck on the bottom and you try spraying, it will clog your nozzle and then it's kind of stuck. You can put it in hot water, but it's really difficult to get it going again. And so I'm just going to spritz it from a little bit higher up just to get a bit. Wipe your nozzle off at the end, flip her over, and the green, we're going to put the green in right at the very, very top, because we wanted more of those pink ones down towards the bottom, and that's going to give it a wee bit of shine on there. And I really wish I hadn't messed that one part up, but you guys get the general idea. It's not like I'm certain we haven't all had whoops, right? So we're going to just put that over, give this a wipe, give that a wipe, give everything a wipe. We're going to flip that over. We're going to set this panel somewhere where we're not going to knock it. Now that we need to let it dry. Luckily, because we put such a thin layer of the solar paste and the solar sprays on there, they're going to dry fairly quickly, right? And you could come back in over top of the entire panel and give it a shimmer for the sunrise with the yellow solar spray or the pink solar spray to bring these colors out again as well. So I'm just going to set that there. Excuse me for a moment while I'm just going to go run these into the sink, because remember, this one does have the paste on it and we don't want that setting. So I'll be just a second. All right, I'm back. And while that panel is drying, we can work on the inside of the card. I already started this one. This is going to end up being a birthday card because I've got a lot of birthdays to send out to. So I've already used one of the stamps from the Billowing Peonies for the inside, and it was a portion of it because it says wishing you peace and contentment. So I used a little bit of satin tape to mask off this peace and contentment portion. I only wanted the wishing you. And then I got out another one from an old alphabet stamp set and put the A in. And then we're using the happy birthday from one of the Simon Says stamp ones, the joys of spring. And I wanted to mix the fonts because this one is going to match the sentiment that we're putting on the front, which will be today is the best day ever. So these two fonts are matching, but the happy birthday is going to bring in that movement that the willow tree has got with the way that the branches move on it. So I'm just going to tuck this here, we'll move that aside. And Annette and Robin know that I do the ombre coloring quite a bit. So I'm going to try and decide. I think we're not going to use the green tones. We'll pop them back up and we'll grab out some of the pinks. And we've already got this with the yellow into a middle pink, into a brighter pink. So let's bring in that blush rose, Pinkalicious, to really highlight this. The other thing that I've got going on is because I'm mixing brands of stamps. We've got an Altenew. We've got a, what is that? Clear stamps, transparent, Hampton. Those old Hampton ones that quite often we have hanging around. Hampton, and this one is Simon Says stamp. I know that these are not the same thickness. So that A I know is thicker. So we'll stamp it out first and then I can pull it off. Yep, that'll be good enough. Okay, so we're tucking him aside. And then what we'll do for the ombreing is, we know this is our lighter color. So I will dab along the top portion mainly. I've got my pad at a slight angle like this. And then we will bring in one of our pink blending brushes, and you can either dab, 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 dab along the bottom, or you can use a swipe to get them off as well. And the other thing too is make certain that you got it so that it's along whatever your curvature or straightness of the stamp is, so that everything does come in a little bit more blended. quite often, if you don't use the brush to dab them off, or your finger or a paper towel, you will get little ink lines from the pad in there. And so there's the start of our ombre, right? So we've got the top portion. Let's bring in that brighter pink, everybody. Oh, thanks, guys. We're not whispering. The insides of my cards. Yana, Dan, you can attest to this. Yana got us all on a new kick where she carried the stencil over the back of the card. And that is going to be my new favorite thing to do. So, and I forgot I put those stencils in the sink, but I was going to use one for the inside of the card. I can go back and get it and dry it quickly. So this time we're going to reverse what we're doing, that we're putting the darker pink down along the bottom on the birthday portion. And because that is not quite dark enough, I am just going to come in along the birthday, and I'm going to switch it to my mid-tone blending brush. And we are going to blend that out so that we are not too far across the top there. And these inks will dry back, as you all know, they smooth out. You can't do the ombre too many times, like 3 to 4. If you start going in back and forth about 5 or 6 times, the colors are going to spread out. If you've got a fine sentiment stamp, especially, it bleeds it out too much. So just be cognizant of that when you're doing it. The ones that are blockier like this, those are the ones that you can see it the best on, because they've got more real estate, so to speak, to be able to give you that effect. And just for a final kind of shadow layer, just with your pad on an angle, get the bottom part, again, the dark pink blending brush, just bringing it down like that, so that it is not quite as hard of a line. And there, you can see the ombre on it now. So that guy's coming off. And wipe my stamp off. And remember, everybody, your stamps are going to end up stained, especially if you're using the pinks and the reds. Some of the browns and some of the purples will do it too, because they are photopolymer and they will stain out. Okay, that is done. And we will tuck this guy aside. I'll just beat that one. So we're letting our ink dry right now and spread out on that one. And if you bear with me a moment. Oh, hey, catastrophe number 2, guys. Look at what I just did. I've got pink on my hands. This is the beauty of doing YouTube videos, in that we get to edit out all the other stuff when we're not going live. And it's like, hey, look at what I just did. So Jerry usually tries finding a way to compensate on that. And how she's going to do that this time is she's going to go get that stencil and fix it. Hello. Okay, so I also have got the stencils back here, but they're still soaking wet because I did just pull them from the sink. I am looking for my number 1, number 3, and I'm just being really careful not to flick any more on this, because, hey, 3rd time's the charm with another catastrophe, right? Oh, goodness. Oh, well, at least I can laugh about it. You guys all know that about me. I do tend to find it really funny when I have some really weird stuff happen. This is where we have microfiber cloths for the win. Yes. Okay, we can dry this off. Now, the other thing too is, remember when we did the front, I used the reverse of the stencil. Well, I'm going to flip it around now because I want the tree coming in from that side. And I also have to do it so that I am covering up that whoopsie. So that is layer number 2. This is number 3. And bear with me while I just dry them off. Okay. And one more. Look for the one with the big holes in it. That's going to be your base layer. Thank goodness for the mats, right? I've got a Tim Holtz glass mat underneath, but those of us that film will be able to tell you that, oh yeah, you get a huge reflection from them. And so a lot of us have got other mats to cover on top. Mine is just, it's one of those big mats that you can use for actually cutting on. And it's got a translucent look to it, but I find now that it wipes off really well. It still grays things out from the camera, which is not focusing right now because I'm moving too quickly. But it also gives a nice neutral background to it without reflecting too much of the overhead lights that are up there. All right, I think we're sort of ready for that next stage. So let's grab stencil back out. We will tuck the card just in like this. Luckily, of course, you can flip everything around. And we're going to try and figure out where to put this stencil so that I can get the maximum amount of coverage on that oopsie that I had there with my inky fingers. Like I said, these ones are nice in that the leaf panels all do line up just by the stencil itself, but they do catch because of those little branches. So we want a portion that's going to have like that in with the ink, but we don't want it going up too high. If you're bringing in a bottom element, you just kind of want it tucked in this corner or this corner, something that will mimic what you have happening on the front panel, but at the same time will help to ground the card and give it just something else. And if you do it really, really light, then you don't have to worry about not being able to write over top of it with your message on the inside. So I think that's about where I'm going to go with that one. And I think I'm going to move the card up so that we've got a little bit more stickability on the stencil. I can see that I do not have to worry about the masking off that other portion. Although, since I've got this here anyways, I will do it. This Post-it tape too, for those of you that don't know, if you want to carry a stencil up to this edge, lay it down here, and it's one of the things that will help to prevent that side getting colored when we're not in a rush and when we're not trying to do YouTube. Now, the mini blending brushes, I am just going to bring them in with what is left on them because, as I said, we don't want this to be really, really dark, but hopefully just enough to kind of mask off what we had happening with that ink smear. And I was going to put the stencil on the inside anyways. If I brush it down like this, the streaking that happens is also going to mimic the branches that you've got on a weeping willow. So you can do the same thing with your flowers too. Look at the direction that your petal is going and use your brush to accentuate those veinings that you see through the petals. So this is layer number 2. I guess I should just get that out of there. I think I might end up going rogue here a little bit. Okay, there. And remember that these colors too will dry back a little bit. So there was more brushing that one down. And the final layer. And this is the one, whoops, got to tuck that over a little bit. This is always the part that I edit out in my videos because my hair has gotten quite gray. And it used to be strawberry blonde. And I find now that I miss my strawberry blonde and I'm very vain about it. Some of us have very beautiful argent hair though. And we love it. And we comment on it all the time. Don't we, Annette? Okay, now here's the part that I might freak some of you out, but because I've got the pink there, this is how I'm going to recover it. I'm going to flick my pink blending brush up from the bottom of where each of those stencil layers is. That's going to give it a little bit of the pink to make it look like we did that whoopsie on purpose, right? So just wee little flicks. And it's also going to add to the artsy feel that you've got for the card. I am very much into artsy cards. So there we are. It's like you can't tell where that was. So we will tuck him aside. Throw that on the floor. We're going to have a crafter math in here after, guys, because I'm just throwing things all over the place. Usually I clean up between every single step that I do because my husband and I are both neat freaks. And we will tuck him in a safe spot now that we've got the inside done. Or actually here, let's just stamp the back. Hey, how about Made with Inky Fingers by Geraldine Rose? I think that was particularly apt for today. And let's do it in, a nice, how about a rouge color? See, yeah, other people agree. You've never seen my hair? You shall never, Shan. Robin. Yeah, no, I'm afraid I do have the vanity. Sadly. It's long, but no, it's funny. It's like watching a horse go gray. It's still auburn strawberry red at the bottom, and then as you go up, it gets lighter and lighter, and then it goes dark right at the top into a weird kind of dark gray, which is why I love it so much. So, okay, there we are. Custom stamp is on the back. I hope that was the back. Yes. That's the other thing usually I need to do is, are you stamping on the right side? There's been a few times where I've had to turn cards around. And it's a good thing with the panels too that you can always just glue thing over top of panels, can't we? All right. So we've got a front one here, but we need a sentiment. So we are going to make certain that this is pretty much dried. I can put my finger to where that solar paste is and where the spray is, and it's not coming off on my finger. So the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my anti-static powder, and I'm going to get out some rose gold embossing powder, and I guess I need to plug in a heat gun as well. You guys get to listen to the old beast here. And because we had the watercolor, because we had the wet inks, because we had the paste, because we had the solar spray, we might have wet areas. So what we're going to do is just put the anti-static powder down in the area generally where we want to stamp it. You can wipe this off with your microfiber cloth in the end. And I need stamping one out. And bring the Misty back out again. I do have two of the stamp wheels, but I seem to have more difficulty because of the rotation on them. So I tend to use my old Misty because I'm just used to the flipping back and forth. It's that learned mechanism that we have for how we take an action. So it's already like in my skill set. And I'll just give that another one now that I've touched it. Oh, thanks, Annette. Except for the whoopsie there. But you know what I might be able to do? I might be able to bring the stencil back in and bring the branch a little bit out over this side to cover that green there. That's a possibility too. And we want to use today will be the best day ever because, hey, you're sending good vibes for someone's birthday. And the other thing we're going to do, this is something that we all have learned from Kathy Zielski, especially our rule of thirds. Uh, Instead of downloading and printing, because I don't have a working printer, I just took one of my old stamp packages and I just drew on it with some indelible Sharpie and let it dry. And I just align it with where my card is. And what you want to do is you want to have things within like the thirds. So we've got the tree. You can see it's in the 2/3 on this side and it's on the 2/3 on the top. And the sentiment, we've got the grass from the meadow down here. So this would be a good placement here to tuck it in. And so I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth a little bit until I'm happy with placement. And the other thing I have to watch for is, of course, I've got a little bit of paste here. That will not take the embossing powder. So that does leave me to moving it down a little bit more into where the meadow meets the sunrise in the background, very muted out. So I will just tuck it in there, make certain I'm not touching anything on that side. Make certain it's lined. And that's the other thing that I like about the stamp wheel, because you can tell if your stamps are aligned or not. The MISTI, the stamp wheels have got a radial set of lines, and it's a little bit more difficult for me to tell with, of course, our aging eyes where exactly we've got these stamp sets. And let's just double check. Okay, I haven't used this one before, so I do have conditioning erasers, but I find that it's just easiest and quickest to use my hand because the conditioning erasers leave little bits of gunk in there. And then you try wiping them off, but when you stamp, then you'll have one part on the stamp that quite often has got a little bit of eraser stuck to it. So we will just do this instead. Double check that our alignment is good. Okay, we're going to get out our Versamark. And I think I need to re-ink that, but we will give it a couple of goes with the MISTI to make certain that we've got coverage. The other thing with watercolor, I did use the smoother side on this panel, but you know that it does have a tooth to it. And so it's going to take a couple of times stamping so that you get your Versamark into all of the cracks that you've got there. You can end up with a bit of texture on it too. And I use an old chalkboard eraser sometimes to get a better pressure spread across the stamp. And I'm just going to do it one more time for good luck. Okay. And we need out some paper. Now I do have a few other embossing powders that are inside larger tubs, but this is the one of the ones that is just in a jar. And so I will have to just put it over top of a piece of paper, and we will pour our embossing powder over top and then just funnel it back in. So let's see how good of an impression we got on this. That's not too bad. This is one of the finer embossing powders too. I tend to like getting the ultra fine ones now, or the fine, because they emboss with a much crisper image on them. If you're just doing mixed media for the background, I wouldn't worry about it so much. Okay, everybody, I can't mute this because we're just on an old webcam, but I'm just going to heat gun this. And there we are. And the wonderful thing about the metallics is that as you shift them, you pick it up. I went with the rose gold because I thought it would work well with the sunrise in the background, because it as well has that pink tone to it too. Okay, so we need to do some splatter, of course. So this is just one of my old boxes that I have used and put some sides up on. And I will get out some of the yellow solar spray again. So excuse me while I reach. There we are. And you can see when you start out, do you see how it's all clumped down at the bottom? So you want to shake it back and forth. You can do it like a bell or back and forth this way because you want that ball to be moving. And the other thing that I find works is also tapping them against each other like this. And when I turn them over, you can see that it's off of the bottom now, so they are ready to fly. My microphone is canceling out the sound of the heat tool. Yes! Way to go, Blue Globe. Excellent. Okay, and we're just going to give it a spritz across the entire panel with the yellow, and then we're going to come back in with the Cross My Heart, the pink one, and this one I want to do a couple of bigger splotches on there, because this for me is a very, very simple panel. Everybody else knows that I really tend to do many layers in mixed media, but again, I was trying to keep it within a 1 hour constraint and have it so that we could get it done in time. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to smoosh down some of a yellow ink, like so. We are going to give it just a spritz of water, and we are going to pick out another brush. When I can find one that I'm happy with splattering. There we go. Okay. Mix your inks around because you can splatter with them too. And just tap it on like that. This one, I'm going to do it along that horizon line, so the splatters are more down here at the base and shining through the base of the tree. And give that a wipe off. Take her out. And we've got the shimmer. You can see that that solar spray is quite wet. I can use this to dab it off. When you do that with your micas, there is a chance that you will take up the shine and it will cause a ring. But again, that's a neat effect that you can get. Or you can just lay your whole paper napkin down and go all the way across it like that to get it. And that's going to as well lift some of the ink so that you will get some of that texture effect in the background. Okay, that is probably dry enough, but I'm just going to give it another shot with the heat gun. And we're going to grab out some glue. We're going to make certain that everything is wiped down okay now that we've got our card back out and we fixed the oopsie on the inside of the card. There we are. Okay, let's get the paper towel out. Dry that a little bit. All right. Okay, so double checking. Inside a card, back. Let's do the front. Now, if I wasn't doing this for a watercolor hop, being me, I would probably layer up a whole bunch more in the background. But I wanted it just to be a dreamy wash for it for the hop. So I'm actually trying to simplify my stuff a little bit. Dan and Robin and others. Oh, and hello, Kana. Kana? I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. But hey, welcome. Oh, the splatter, it's because it's a shimmer one, it's going to be more when I tilt it back and forth, except for the ink splatters, and those are really light yellow. So it's probably not going to pick them up too much. I could go back in with a darker yellow and go back over it again. Or maybe because we've got a sunrise, we could go back in with an orange or one of the pinks. And that actually sounds like a good idea. All right. This is because of Kana. Okay, let's choose Sugary Gumdrop. And I'm pulling a Christina now because Christina as well changes her ideas as she goes. I will start out with a generic kind of idea of where I want my cards to go, and they always go somewhere else. They always, always, always. And I usually have catastrophes like we did with that. And then we have to fix them. This one I'm not going to fix. I'm just going to use this one for the practice card and redo the other one really quickly now that we've got that other panel drying down below. Okay, so we are going to use a little bit of paper towel because we don't want the grass meadow down at the bottom covered or the sentiment. And we will, now that we've got the Sugary Gumdrop, which is a pink tone, we will just splatter a little bit down here. There. For another tone of the sunrise that's in there. So imagine, now this whoopsie isn't here, but that is the general idea of a card that would just be a simple birthday card for a friend with a sunrise in the background, with the light shining through the trees. You got your design elements in that. You got the tree occupying the 2/3 on the left-hand side and the top 2/3. You've got your sentiment here at the 3rd line mark, and it's also, you know, accentuating that difference between the meadow that's in the forefront and the sunrise that's happening in the background. Your splatter, you're using yellow tones and then the lighter pink tones with the solar sprays, and the mica is going to bring in those deeper tones. And when you tilt it, it's when you get the shiny, shiny, bling, bling. And you can also then tell what's happening with your embossing powder that the sentiment is for. And on the inside, you have your ombre sentiment with 3 different brands because you can mix and match your stuff. Just pull out what you're feeling for what direction you want that card to go. And then that whoopsie that I did there with my inky fingers, we covered it up by bringing in a little bit of the pink on the bottom of that stencil. So it actually made it, again, look like there is pink sunrise light shining through the branches, and custom stamp on the back. So there we are. Did we make it within an, oh my gosh, guys, and I made it within an hour. Woohoo! Oh my goodness. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Ziamara, Robin, Color 11 Connect. She's one of family, and a few of the others are family too. Wonderful to have everybody supporting me. So thank you. I got another live under the belt. Had a couple of catastrophes that we laughed about and were able to fix one of them at least. And do you see what I just about did too? Because I didn't wipe off the mat, I just about put the card back in where we had put some of the mica spray down. And yeah, I just got one little drop right there. But again, it wouldn't be me if we didn't have something happen and then I had to figure my way out of it. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I am hoping that because it's my birthday month that I'm going to be practicing these a little bit more and trying to come up with a different idea each time. My normal cards, now Dan and Robin and Ziamara, Annette, you've seen them. Angelique, hello, sweetie. You've seen them. They typically take me 4 to 12 hours to do, and I don't think we'd want to do that on a live. So the ones that I'll do for the live, I am trying to decomplicate a little bit more and just, you know, get something done and get more comfortable with streaming. and hope to follow after Annette's path. And she hit a 1K and just shot off like a rocket after that. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah. Oh, and I'm going to have a giveaway for my birthday too. So you guys all don't have to worry about that. That's still in a week and a half. And yeah, that will be just a generic video, or not generic, like a typical long length video, my 909 or 1010 or 1111, that will be put out, and then anybody that comments on that will be entered in the giveaway. So thank you everybody for coming and watching and laughing with me as we got this done. Happy birthday month, right, Robin? And I can see that I still have to practice watching the chat a little bit better, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Not too bad for live number 4. So thanks again. We'll catch you all later. Everybody, go be that change you want to see in the world. And we'll catch you next time. I'll put out notices on when I do the next lives once I come up with another idea. Okay. All right. Bye bye, everybody.